I used to think that meditation was something that only hippies did and found the whole concept a waste of time. But after a couple months of constantly getting YouTube videos on my feed of people trying out meditation and showcasing the positive results on both their happiness and mental well-being, I tried it out for myself for about a week when I first started, and for the first couple days of that week I found no real change in anything. But in the last maybe 2 days of that week, I found tremendous benefits or tremendous change and increase in happiness and mental well-being. And now I've been doing it for about, I'd say, a month, and doing 10-minute meditation sessions a day. And what I noticed when doing meditation was it slowed my mind down. And what I mean by this is that I wouldn't be thinking multiple things at once. I'll just be thinking one thing at a time. It's almost as though my mind gets all the jumbled up thoughts in my head and kind of organizes them into all these different piles to think of, but only at once. So I was basically just thinking one at a time rather than just having all these different thoughts floating around in my head. And that ultimately helped me be a lot more focused. And whenever I did think of, like, say, an idea for, I don't know, a YouTube video or just anything really, that would come out a lot better than if I was just thinking about it in my day-to-day life, because in my day-to-day life I'd be thinking about other stuff like what I'm going to have for dinner, who I'm going to see today, and all that rubbish, all that like unnecessary stuff. So yeah. And what I also noticed that meditation brought was an ability to control my emotions a lot better, because you're in a silent room by yourself. You have nowhere to really project your emotions, particularly the negative ones. And because you're alone and you're in a silent place, you don't really want to make the experience like bad. So you try and just think about positive things a lot more when you're in that state, and you kind of just let your negative feelings and thoughts and emotions go. And once you do that for quite a bit, so like on a regular basis, every day for a span of a month, for example, you like almost build a habit of just letting all these bad emotions and bad thoughts go. And that ultimately just makes you think positively pretty much the whole time, and just think about positive things. And that is a big factor for having a great amount of happiness. So that's another thing I noticed. And another thing I noticed as well was a change in my mindset. And how my mindset changed was I would just be thinking about the present and not about the future and what I have to do to make it right and all of that stuff, because ultimately you can't change the future and you can't really do anything about it, and you can only really work on what you have right now and just work day at a time rather than what's going to be happening in 3 months time or a year's time. So I learned to think about the present a lot more by doing these meditation sessions, because you're just kind of thinking about the day and just thinking about what you should do for the day and all of that type of stuff. And you're not really worrying and stressing about, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. You're just kind of thinking in the present moment. And that ultimately made me a lot less stressed and worried, and I basically like removed most of my anxiety in that day just from doing that, which ultimately made me a lot more happy and appreciative of the day. So yeah, and if you're wondering on like how to start and what to do, honestly, just start. But what I'd recommend is just find a place that's quiet and where you can be alone, and you can lie down, sit down, doesn't really matter. I personally lie down because it's more comfortable, and I don't really want to be sitting for upwards of 10 minutes, but you can do whatever you would like, and you just pretty much close your eyes and just think, and it's okay for your mind to wander off. You don't have to be centered on one thought. You just kind of are in your thoughts, not interrupted by any external things, no social media, no friends, just you. And you can do, honestly, just a 5-minute session, and just try and do that every day. I personally would recommend doing it in the morning, because when you're doing it at night, you're already tired and you kind of already want to go to sleep, so you're kind of more napping, if I would say. Yeah, you're pretty much just napping. So I'd recommend doing it first thing in the morning. And I actually saw a Hamza video, and he was talking about him meditating, and he made a good point of when you're just like scrolling first thing in the morning, it kind of just drains your energy. And honestly, I 100% agree. And when you start your day off by doing a 5-minute meditation session, it's honestly the best way you can start your morning, I reckon. So, but honestly, I would just say start. Like, even if 5 minutes might seem a bit long, like, you can always just cut it down and ultimately build up to 5-10 minutes. You can go longer than that if you want. I personally do 10 minutes because right now I'm quite busy and have a lot of things to do, so I just do 10-minute sessions. But honestly, if you start, they'll be incredibly beneficial. You'll find how incredibly beneficial it is towards your mental well-being and overall happiness. But anyway, let me know in the comments if you have any questions, queries about meditation or any other things, and I'll try and answer them in the comments. So.